morning. My name is Carol Alfus, and I am your worship leader this morning. Here are this morning's announcements. We are delighted to announce that starting today, we're holding a 9 a.m. short and sweet services outside on the grounds at Tree of Life. The services will be simpler than the regular service, and the service will be followed by our regular service on Zoom at 10:45. We had a pretty good crowd there this morning. It was delightful to see people gathered together to worship. It really was wonderful. Everyone is welcome to attend. We do ask that those present mask and socially distance. Please bring your own chair or a blanket to sit on, as we will not have chairs available. The church office will be closed next week while Judy Stetner is on summer vacation. Please send your newsletter submissions in by Wednesday morning. There will be no inquirers for newcomers today or next Sunday while Judy is away. Join the men's group every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. in the Double Yolk Cafe on the Woodstock Square. They'll be eating and talking until 9:30 or 10. There is a new way to donate to our Compassion for Campers program. Carol Alfus, that would be me, is offering a chance to peruse the vast library of my late husband, Greg. I would ask that he has many, many wonderful history books. I ask that you take what you want, as many books as you want, and in return, make a donation to Compassion for Campers. And you can contact me to schedule a time. This will probably begin after the middle of August. Today is our second Sunday, and Irene Raven is here to tell us about this month's recipient of our second Sunday collection.
And I have to let myself be seen. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Are we there?
Irene, just start telling us about the second Sunday.
Our second Sunday collection will be going to support the work of the UU Prison Ministry of Illinois, more commonly known as UUPMI. The United States is a prison nation. 1 in 4 people incarcerated in the world reside in US prisons and jails. UUPMI's mission is to equip UUs in Illinois to transform institutions and support people harmed by the prison industrial complex. People who go to jail need to be treated like people, both while they're there and when they get out. UUPMI offers liberal religious ministry inside prisons. It advocates for policy changes related to prisons, and it teaches radical hospitality to congregations welcoming formerly incarcerated people. Our own Solidarity Circle is a way to participate in this act of radical hospitality. UUPMI partners with other organizations to fulfill its mission. We partner to advocate for community support with the No Cop Academy and for other justice issues with UU Advocacy Network of Illinois, UUANI. Project NIA provides books for incarcerated children, books for women in prisons, collects and distributes books to them. For visits, we partner with the Lutheran Social Services of Illinois and Reunification Ride to provide services and programs to imprisoned mothers and their families. Reunification Rides brings children and their caregivers to visit with imprisoned mothers. We partner with the UU Church of the Larger Fellowship to connect pen pals with incarcerated individuals. For more information about our mission and services, please check out our website, uupmi.org, or you can just type in UU Prison Ministry of Illinois, and that would get you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene. And finally, we want to get to know you and answer your questions. If you're new to Tree of Life, we hope you will fill out the visitor online card that will be posted in the chat. Feel free to introduce yourself during Joys and Concerns. We invite you to join us for coffee hour breakouts after the service, and especially, well, not this week. We will invite you to Inquirers when we have it. Sorry about that. We are a friendly bunch and welcome a chance to get to know you. We welcome all who have joined us here this morning, and so begin our service.
We meet on holy ground by Richard S. Gilbert. We meet on holy ground, brought into being as life encounters life, as personal histories merge into the communal story, as we take on the pride and pain of our companions, as separate selves become community. How desperate is our need for one another, how our silent beckoning to our neighbors, our invitations to share life and death together, our welcome into the lives of those we meet, and their welcome into our own. May our souls capture this treasured time. May our spirits celebrate our meeting in this time and in this space, for we meet on holy ground.
And while Karen Meyer reads our chalice lighting, you're invited to light your own chalice at home.
Wisdom. We light the chalice this month of August to honor the gift of gaining wisdom. Where do you find wisdom? Do you seek it, or does it find you? Wisdom finds me and delivers itself in many clever disguises. Keep pedaling, I'm right behind you, shouts a young father on the bike trail. It may come from the voice of beloved clergy. Quote, be who you are, do what you can, want what you have. Unquote, even when it's hard, states Reverend Forrest Church. Perhaps the humor of the Reverend Meg Barnhouse sits with you. Quote, in case of the rapture, you better pack a snack because we're going to be left behind. Unquote. I love to hear the whisper of wisdom while reading a novel, and the pages I have dog-eared with sentences underlined, highlighted, or recorded in a notebook are many. This invaluable virtue is deep, immeasurable, priceless, and rare. Seek and ye shall find, or better yet, keep your eyes, ears, and heart open.
Thank you, Karen, for those wise words. And now please join us in recalling our purpose. We journey as a family towards spiritual growth, freedom in faith, celebration of diversity, commitment to action, devotion to each other, the community, and the earth. Our first song this morning is To See the World, sung by the UU virtual singers of the UU Church of Los Alamos.
To see our world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. To see our world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour.
That was lovely. Our reading this morning is God Got in a Boat by Cynthia Ryland, and it will be read by Jesse Bowen.
God got in a boat and said, wow. She had never actually floated in a boat, though. She'd seen people out on the water and told herself she'd have to try that someday. Water had always bored her until she started seeing people having fun on it. So one day she got in a boat, said, wow, and headed out across the lake. And the whole world looked different. She couldn't get over it. It didn't look anything like it looked from the sky or from the ground or even from inside a whale, which she had tried once or twice. She sat in the boat and was surprised how much sense it all made. All the little houses and all the green trees and all the tidy cities and all the sky and all the land, it all made sense. She was surprised because really she had just been winging it.
Zeus, one of the Greek gods, decided to punish humanity because another god had given them access to fire. So Zeus created Pandora and gave her a box. She was told that it had something special inside, but she could never open the box. Like almost any of us, Pandora was intensely curious about what might be inside this box. So one night, she went to the box. And she thought about it and looked at it, and she thought she would just open it a little, just a peek. Who would ever know? So she reached out and put her hand on the lid, but pulled back at the last second. She resisted her curiosity mightily. And it took almost a month before she was back at the box with her hand on it again. But again, at the last moment, she remembered Zeus's warning and took her hand away. This happened 4 more times. And 10 months, 3 weeks, 4 days, and 2 hours after Pandora received that box, she couldn't handle it anymore. She was sure she would go crazy. So this time, when she put her hand on the box, she opened it. Out of the box flew all the evils of the world: hate, destruction, pain in the form of small flying bugs. And they stung Pandora as they flew. So she yelped and slammed the lid shut. But she felt something was still inside. And struck perhaps by a subtle wisdom, or maybe a more friendly God trying to help humanity out, she opened the box again. This time, hope flew out. Pandora may have let many evils into the world, but she also brought hope. This ancient Greek tale has similarities to other stories from around the world and throughout history. In the Hebrew Bible's Garden of Eden, it's Eve's curiosity about the forbidden tree and its fruit that led her to listen to the serpent. Notice how it's always the woman. That's important, but perhaps not for today's sermon. She ate the fruit, gained the knowledge of life and death, and got herself and Adam kicked out of the garden. Curiosity can be dangerous. It can get us into enough trouble that we struggle to get out of it on our own. And yet, I believe curiosity is also one of our most essential human traits. When I was about 14 years old, my father was dating a woman with a son who was also about 14. The two of us decided to go for a hike. And there are points along our trail when we could have and should have turned back. But I wanted to know what was over the hill, first one hill, then the next, and the next. And when we reached a clearing, I wanted to know what was on the other side. My curiosity and desire to know drove us both forward. But any wisdom I might have had at 14 wasn't in evidence at that day. We weren't prepared for a long hike. And about 2 hours into the trip, we were surprised to find the lake around that one more bend in the path. Both of us were aware of the lake and knew how far it was from my father's house. So we were shocked we had been traveling long enough to reach it. But now we were there, and most importantly, we were thirsty. We could try to retrace our steps, but the idea of 2 hours with a rapidly increasing thirst didn't appeal to us. So we began to walk along the shore of the lake, hoping we would find something that would tell us exactly where on the lake we had landed. We were so thirsty by this point that I started to consider just how dangerous it might be to drink from the lake. Then we saw a boat. And we called out to the people in the boat, asking them where we were. When we told them we were lost, one of them dove from the boat, swam out to us with bottles of water, and pointed out where the ranger station was so we could call our parents. We reached the station, and the ranger gave us a ride home. That day, my curiosity got the best of us, and it got me in trouble. But I'll tell you something. It's one of the events I most clearly remember from my adolescence. And I've never truly regretted the experience. Maybe in the first 5 minutes after I got home, but other than that, it was an adventure that taught me a great deal about myself and about other people. Our stories that we tell one another offer lots of warnings about the dangers of being too curious. They caution us against reaching beyond what we should and investigating things that are not ours to look at. A common saying in our culture is, curiosity killed the cat. But have you heard the counter to this? satisfaction brought him back. Even in our tales, we see glimpses of the truth that there is often something to be gained from curiosity. Pandora released evil, but she also released hope. Eve got humanity kicked out of the garden, but with that we gained knowledge and death. And I wonder if it was always the plan that eventually curiosity would drive humanity to grow up and seek to know more about our world and ourselves. Curiosity drives our scientific understanding. It has given us vaccines, sent us to the moon, offered untold advances in medicine and technology. It's also driven us to build bigger and more deadly weapons. This leads me to wonder, now that we've eaten of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, are there any more forbidden fruits? Are there fruits we want to forbid from ourselves? Things we shouldn't study or explore? Are there places we shouldn't seek knowledge? Is there a certain truth or knowledge we don't trust ourselves to gain? I confess this is a tough one for me. As a Unitarian Universalist, as a person who needed to know what was over one more hill and around that next bend, I continue to want to know and understand everything I can. I eagerly devour news about scientific findings. I hope we discover cures to all the diseases. I hope we establish bases on Mars and learn what life on another planet might be like. But maybe we should have limits. As we eat of the tree of knowledge, the mythical story tells us we invite death into the world. And I think this doesn't just refer to physical death, but loss of various kinds. Curiosity about human hearing and the potential of technology to interact with our senses led to the development of the cochlear implant, which allows some deaf individuals to access auditory information. Those in the hearing world, however, were shocked by the response from some of those who were deaf. Some deaf individuals didn't want the implant and protested its use as an attempt to destroy deaf culture. Indeed, now that we have knowledge of this technology, there are many parents and teachers who don't connect deaf children to others in the deaf community or to American Sign Language, preferring instead to limit their children to hearing culture and language. In a more dramatic example, when physicist Robert Oppenheimer witnessed the first atomic bomb explosion, which he had helped make possible through his work on the Manhattan Project, he quoted the Bhagavad Gita saying, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds." Can't imagine how that must have felt in that moment. His and others' scientific curiosity led to knowledge of how to destroy life, a knowledge humanity has not always shown itself responsible enough to possess. As curious as I am, I believe there are limits to what knowledge I should pursue. My faith as a Unitarian Universalist helps guide me to understand where those limits are. I won't let my curiosity drive me to seek information that would give me excessive power to harm other people. I'm not bold enough to believe that I am and will forever be righteous enough to possess that power. Our curiosity should be guided by faith, by morality. Barbara Kingsolver explores this idea in her essay, Fist in the Eye of God. She says, "Religion has no place in the science classroom where it may abridge students' opportunity to learn the methods, discoveries, and explanatory hypotheses of science. Rather, its place is in the hearts of the men and women who study and then practice scientific exploration. Ethics can't influence the outcome of an experiment, but they can serve as a useful adjunct to the questions that get asked in the first place. She says, one must wonder what chair got occupied, if any, in the Manhattan Project. In the halls of science, there's often an unspoken sense that morals and objectivity can't occupy the same space. That is balderdash. They've always cohabited. Social norms and judgments regarding gender, race, the common good, cooperation, competition, material gain, and countless other issues reside in every active human mind. So they are hovering somewhere in the vicinity of any experiment ever conducted by a human. I think Kingsolver's on to something here. What if our curiosity were driven by our ethics, by our morality? What if we walked into the adventures of the future asking questions guided by our faith, a faith that values curiosity and also guides us with shared principles and values that are cultivated in covenantal community? What might it mean to be guided by a holy curiosity? A curiosity driven by respect for the inherent worth and dignity of all. Would we, guided by a sense that life is precious, seek ways to end gun violence, poverty, mass incarceration, war? Would we, drawn by the possibility of life-giving answers, walk on the surface of Mars? Would we put our time and energies into curing diseases that affect those too often neglected? Alzheimer's disease, tropical diseases occurring mostly in poor regions of the world, diseases that impact maternal and child mortality? What would it mean to be guided by a holy curiosity? A curiosity driven by the need to know how to strengthen the interdependent web. Would it lead us to rebuild endangered species, to find new ways to work with one another and the natural world to address climate change? To better understand how our choices in the United States affect and are affected by those living far from us? Allowing religion and love to guide our questions can help us know what hills to climb. It can also help us to find others when we are lost. People who will swim away from their comfortable boats with water bottles in their hands because we are thirsty. Later in her essay, Kingsolver says, I am a scientist who thinks it wise to enter the doors of creation, not with the lion tamer's whip and chair, but with the reverence humankind has traditionally summoned for entering places of worship, a temple, a mosque, or a cathedral, a sacred grove as ancient as time. My beloved spiritual companions, may we approach the world around us with holy curiosity, seeking to find answers that build us up, answers that heal the pain in this world rather than create more. We can't do it perfectly, and sometimes we will find something unexpected over the hill. But guided by a sense of reverence, we will approach it with the last thing to leave Pandora's box: hope. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
Thank you, Rev Jenn, for those words of inspiration and encouragement. Each week, we take an offering that supports the work of this congregation in our lives in our communities and our world. Today and in the weeks to come, you may make your offering in one of three ways which are listed on your screen. You can text to give at 815-332-0643. You can give online, and links to this is in today's chat. Or you can go the good old-fashioned way and send a check by mail to 5603 Bull Valley Road, McHenry, 60050. Also today, Irene gave us information about our Second Sunday recipient, and you can go online to find more information about them and ways to give. And as always, we thank you for your gifts and for all the gifts you give. Sharing our joys and concerns is a sacred moment in our worship when we open our hearts to receive and embrace each other's lives. If there is something new in your personal life, an event or situation of joy or challenge that touches you, please feel invited to share this to help our community grow in connection. All announcements will appear in our newsletter unless there is a request to be withheld. If you have a joy or a concern that you would like to share this morning, please go into reactions and raise your hand so I can call on you. And when I call on you, please remember to unmute yourself. Patrick Murphin.
Good morning. I'm asking all of you to keep in your hearts and your thoughts the welfare of my nephew, Ira S. Murphin. Last Saturday, as he and his family were preparing to drive from Chicago to Crystal Lake to meet us to help celebrate his son Floyd's 5th birthday, he was taken to the hospital. It turns out he had multiple pulmonary embolisms in his lungs and was put on a ventilator and was quite ill for a while. He's recovering, but he has a long road ahead. He'd already had other serious health problems. So we are keeping Ira and his family in our hearts, and I hope you will too.
Thank you, Patrick. We will keep him and you and your family in our hearts and in our prayers. Sandra Bartholomew.
Thank you, Carol. And Bill and I too ask you to keep in your hearts and minds Bill's longest friend. We are going to Zoom with him this afternoon, but we got a text from his wife last week that he's taken a turn for the worse and he's now on home hospice. He had a collapsed lung and he has had lung cancer, but he's survived without treatment all this time. And now it's, well, we fear it's coming to the end. So, you know, that's Bill's longest friendship since grade school, high school, college, roommates through in California and up until now. And he was born on the same day and year as Bill. They were both on it. So it's kind of an interesting relationship they've had. But thank you for keeping it in your thoughts.
Thank you, Sandra. We will keep you and Bill and his friend in our thoughts and prayers. Ivy.
Hi, I have a joy. My daughter Sabrina, who was having a real rough patch, very rough patch at work for a while, just found out this week that she was accepted into a program. She's a dietitian, and she manages and she's assistant director of food services at Shirley Ryan Ability Lab in Chicago. And the program that she was just accepted into is at Loyola. It's called a Master of Jurisprudence degree. She's going to get, that's the degree she's going to get. It is a health degree. She will be doing health jurisprudence. She will be, the degree will allow her to work in the legal department of hospitals as a compliance officer, creating systems that allow people that work in hospitals to be in compliance with regulations, because over the years that she's been a dietitian, she has seen so much non-compliance that has hurt patients, and that's always been her first, patient safety has always been her first priority. So she's very happy that she's been accepted to this program, and we're very happy for her.
Thanks for sharing that good news, Ivy. We share your joy. And we will now honor all those unexpressed joys and concerns that remain on our hearts for the space of 3 deep breaths. Amen.
Our centering today is called A Web of Holy Relationships by Lynn Cox. And I want to invite you into a spirit of prayer or meditation, just to relax as you're willing and able. Spirit of life, who draws us together in a web of holy relationships. Make your presence known with us and in us and among us. Remind us that we are not alone in history. Ignite us with the courage of the living tradition. Remind us that we are not alone in entering the future. Anchor us with patience and perseverance. Remind us that we are not alone in our times of grief and pain. Comfort us with your spirit, manifest in human hands and voices. Remind us that we are not alone in joy and wonder. Inspire us to honor and extend the beauty we find in this world. Divine music of the universe, let our hearts beat in diverse and harmonious rhythms, cooperating with an everlasting dance of love. May we move with the rhythms of peace. May we move with the rhythms of compassion. May we move with the rhythms of justice. Source of stars and planets and water and land, open our hearts to all our neighbors. Open our souls to a renewal. Open our hands to join together in the work ahead. So be it. Blessed be. Amen.
Our final hymn today is We Would Be One, and you're invited to sing along.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
And now, please join in reading our closing words. The R's a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love, its profession of faith, divine living. We extinguish this flame of communal worship and now carry its light within us. We share this light, we carry its warmth to all whom we meet.
And now we take our leave. Before we gather here again, may each of us bring happiness into another's life. May we each be surprised by the gifts that surround us. May each of us be enlivened by constant curiosity. And may we remain together in spirit till the hour we meet again. Go in peace, go in love.
Thank you, Rev. Jenn, and thank you